I came across a video on my YouTube homepage very recently, and the video was titled, I'm 24 and I do not know what to do with my life. And, to be completely honest, my first reaction after seeing that video was, mate, cool your jets. I'm 28 and I do not know what to do with my life. Something that really embarrasses me. Let me open up to you. A lot of you, reach out to me via the comment section, via email oftentimes saying, hey, Anubhav, I'm 22 years old or I'm 23 years old and I feel absolutely aimless, clueless, directionless. I feel disillusioned with life. Could you please give me some advice? Could we please hop on a quick call such that we can speak with each other? And one of the reasons I actually do not end up responding to some of those queries is not because I'm being standoffish. It's because I feel embarrassed thinking that, mate, I'm as lost, if not more lost than you are. So who am I to be giving you advice? Are you sure you want advice from me? Am I qualified to be giving you advice? On paper, my journey going from having graduated with a 3.9 GPA from one of the finest engineering colleges in America to working 2 quality, successful and rewarding years at arguably the best investment bank in the world, Goldman Sachs, to now working as a freelance sports presenter and having worked with big names such as Star Sports, IPL franchise Kolkata Knight Riders. This seems like a very sexy journey, and it may give the impression that I have my shit figured out and I've made it because I'm presently doing what I love to do, but it's a lot more complex than that. Depending upon which side of the bed I woke up from, I'm either very optimistic and I'm giving myself a pat on the back for some of the bold and courageous and plucky decisions that I've made in my life, or I'm an eternal pessimist and I'm questioning every single decision that I've made or second guessing every single decision that I've made. In other words, my emotions are very volatile. I'm confused by the ambivalence of my feelings. What compounds this problem for me is that I feel I have way too many interests and I'm skilled at lots of different things. It's something people call the tyranny of choice. That's what afflicts me. So I could end up picking path A, but I might feel that I'm equally qualified to go down path X, Y, or Z. And who knows, you often ask yourself, what if the path that I did not end up picking would have been more lucrative compared to the path that I've actually picked? And so going back to what I was alluding to in the title of this video, you aren't sure about what you want to do in life, only because you have so many different interests and you have a set of skills that you feel would lend well to multiple fields and endeavors. But how do I know which field or which endeavor to pick? Now that I've opened up to you, which is what I typically do on my channel, let me tell you that there's good news and bad news. Let's get to the bad news first. I don't think it gets easier. I think it's wishful thinking, imagining that one day you'll have it all figured out. The good news is that there was only one piece of bad news. I'm kidding. There are lots of pieces of good news. And these are all the ways in which I combat the self-doubt that I often experience that stems from the unconventional career path that I've picked, and ways in which I can actually prop up my self-belief whenever I think that it's hit rock bottom. Just a few seconds ago, I mentioned that it doesn't get easier. Now, another way to look at it is that if it does get easier, and if you feel that you have it figured out, or if you've made it, that could be a sign that you're getting complacent or you aren't challenging yourself enough. This reminds me of this very simple yet beautiful, elegant and profound quote by practical philosopher Naval Ravikant, someone I've quoted many a time in the past on my channel. And Naval Ravikant says this in the context of building something big or doing something that's challenging, something that's meaningful to you, something that you're truly passionate about. This is not to say it's easy. It's not easy. It's actually really freaking hard. It's the hardest thing you will do, but it's also rewarding. I know a lot of you on my channel are finance geeks. And so let's go back to the most basic, the most fundamental principle of finance. No risk, no reward. Or conversely, higher the risk, higher the reward. Moving on, something that I find extremely therapeutic, something that I find very comforting is the fact that you are not alone in this fight. Anyone who's actually building something that's big, doing something that's meaningful, doing something that's creative, doing something that doesn't come with a guarantee of it working out is assailed by the same self-doubt that you are often experiencing. And this is true regardless of how mentally tough they might appear to be. In other words, no one who isn't doing something that's ordinary or run-of-the-mill has it all completely figured out. We're all fighting our different battles. Now, someone else may have figured out what you haven't figured out as yet, but that doesn't mean that someone has it all figured out. So knowing that there are others out there who are in the same boat definitely acts as a source of comfort because, as they say, misery loves company. The anxiety that I often experience is the anxiety that's associated with ambition. It's what I like to call the anxiety of ambition. But look, no one's forcing me to be ambitious, right? If I feel that I can't cope, I can actually stop being ambitious or I can reduce the level of my ambition. And so knowing that I am the one who's actually in control and I can dial down the ambition whenever I want to, again, acts as solace, acts as a source of comfort. The antidote to the curse of having too many interests or having a set of strengths that you feel would lend well to multiple different fields and endeavors is that you have to continue experimenting. There's no other way. But with each new experiment, you will end up gaining a lot of valuable insights, a lot of valuable information about the general direction in which you should be headed. So even though you might not know the exact path that you should be taking or the exact path to your life's calling or your life's task, but just have like a sense of the general direction in which you should be headed, at least you'll be able to seek comfort from the fact that you're lost in the right direction. Continuing to experiment can mean that it can take a fair amount of time. And so patience is of paramount importance. But patience when it comes to what? Not when it comes to actions, but when it comes to results. Naval Ravikant, the person that I've quoted a gazillion times in my video, says, impatient with actions, patient with results. And so you've got to be long-term greedy as opposed to short-term greedy. And you have to constantly remind yourself that while it might take a bit of time for me to get to my life's calling or come close enough to it, when I do eventually get to it, I'm just going to take off, baby. Besides, a line that really motivates me to keep at it despite being 28 years old is that it's never too late to be who you could have been. So I'd honestly rather take a few extra years such that I can actually do justice to who I truly am, as opposed to having to contend with self-conflict on a daily basis because I'm not quite acting in accordance with who I truly am. As someone who's gone from an eternal pessimist to someone who's a lot more optimistic now, I have truly come to believe that the universe has my back and that something good can happen at any time. And so if something bad or untoward happens or things don't quite work out the way I would have liked them to, I interpret that as the universe nudging me to go back to the drawing board and further enhance and fine-tune my strategy such that my next attempt at tackling the problem that just got the better of me has much higher chances of succeeding. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Hopefully that wasn't too abstract. In conclusion, I honestly just want to thank you for hearing me out because that was supremely therapeutic. Based on some of my old videos that you may have watched, you might conclude that Anubhav is always very bold, very confident. But let me tell you, there are lots of hidden insecurities, lots of self-doubt that's hiding behind all the bluster that you see. But now, as opposed to what the case was earlier, I'm learning to become friends with that self-doubt. I'm learning to operate despite the self-doubt as opposed to trying to make it go away, which isn't possible unless, of course, you renounce everything and you end up becoming a monk. Assuming that you took something away from this video, it would mean a lot to me if you like this video and subscribe to my channel as a token of appreciation. If you're someone who's really interested in long-form content, then you should definitely check out my podcast, The Anubhav Jain Show. Time for me to take your leave, but until the next time we meet, take care, stay safe, keep smashing it, and cheers.